When you're buying a new cycling helmet, there's an awful lot of choice out there. There's lower price models, there's high price models, there's aero helmets, there's semi-aero helmets, there's helmets which help your head to keep cool. There's an awful lot of choice out there. So I'm going to talk about this particular helmet, the Specialized Prevail II, and give you my thoughts on this and why I chose this against other cycling helmets available on the market. Now, let's be honest, cycling helmets are not exactly the coolest looking things, are they? And a few of us might admit that we do consider what we look like in the cycle helmet that we choose. Well, the reason I chose this one is because I think it's one of the better looking helmets in the pro peloton in the cycling world, to be honest. I own the Prevail I, the original one, and actually Specialized have reduced the profile of this one, so it's a little bit slimmer, a little bit smaller, a little bit more aerodynamic apparently than the original Prevail helmet. And that's the reason why I chose this one. I think it looks quite good as they go. Having a cycle helmet that fits your head properly is an integral part of the protection that helmet offers your head. So actually sizing becomes really, really important. Now, I've got the original Prevail helmet, and in that helmet I was a medium. I was right on the cusp of the small, but actually there was quite a big overlap between the small and the medium-sized helmets. So going for the medium meant I could easily wear a cap, for example, underneath. So when I ordered the Prevail II, I automatically went for a medium-sized helmet. Now, Specialized have changed the sizing of the helmets a little bit. There's less overlap and they've narrowed the gap. Sizing is a little bit closer than it was previously. So I should be a medium, but in actual fact I had to swap the medium for a small size helmet because the medium was way too big. I had to ratchet up the mindset system just to make it try and fit my head, and it was really uncomfortable. So although on paper I should be a medium, I'm actually a small, and that fits really, really well. So bottom line is, sizing is really important and fit is really, really important. So I'd be tempted here not just to order online, but to actually make a visit to my local bike shop, try on some helmets and make sure that I had the right size, and that's especially important in the case of the Prevail II, I think. Of course, one of the key considerations for any cycle helmet is protection. That is, after all, why we wear cycle helmets, to keep ourselves safe in case of an impact. Most cycle helmets are made of something called EPS, which is expanded polystyrene, and the Prevail II is no exception. It's made of exactly the same materials. So why should this cycle helmet be better or more safe than any other? Well, actually, it may or may not be. I certainly don't want to test it out, and I'm not about to go headfirst into a tree to do that. But there are two things that are built into this helmet which could potentially help with safety and definitely give me a little bit of peace of mind. The first thing is it's made of two different densities of EPS foam or polystyrene. Basically that means that around the helmet, in key areas, some parts of the polystyrene are lighter and some parts are a little bit heavier, more dense. That helps with keeping the weight down of the helmet, but it also means that in certain areas of the helmet there'll be a little bit more give, so in case of an impact, and in other areas of the helmet, perhaps around the outer sides, around the back for example, it will just give a little bit more resistance to impact, so it just keeps you well protected. The other point is there's something called an aramid fibre skeleton inside this helmet. Aramid fibres are the same fibres used in Kevlar, which is also known for body armour, for example. Kevlar fibres or aramid fibres are really, really tough. And basically it means that in the event of an impact and should the helmet split, the helmet will basically stay together, and even though it's split, it will still wrap around your head to continue to offer protection, basically. So yeah, two things there which potentially could make this helmet really safe. So first of all, let's look at the comfort of the Prevail II. The medium weight helmet is just 203 grams, so it's pretty much one of the lightest helmets around. Now, Specialized say they've improved the aerodynamics over the original Prevail, and that's actually made it a little bit quieter in the wind. When you're going downhill or when you're really pushing along, I have noticed that the wind noise is reduced. It's got something called a fourth dimension cooling system. All sounds a bit grand, doesn't it? Basically what Specialized say is it's got a big mouth port at the front which sucks the air in, nice big wide long channels which push the air along, and then an exhaust port at the back which kind of sucks the air through. I'm not so sure how much I believe the hype, but I would say it's a fairly good helmet at keeping your head cool, particularly when you are on the flat or going downhill. Of course, when you're climbing, your head's going to get hot, but that's going to happen in any helmet, and a little bit more on that later on. One of the things that bugs me about this helmet, and in fact all the Specialized helmets I've had before, is the length of the chin strap. Now, this is a small helmet, and I understand they've got to cater for everybody, but the chin strap is particularly long, and in fact I have to tuck it up into its little rubber grommet just to kind of keep it in place really. Otherwise the strap would be dangling down, blowing in the wind, and would be driving you nuts. In terms of padding, the Prevail II is pretty comfortable. Lots of pretty good padding on the inside, which doesn't cause any irritation, nor does the straps either, apart from the length of the chin strap, as I mentioned, but around the ears, under the chin, the material is pretty nice, doesn't cause any problems or any irritation there. One of the good things about the Prevail II is it's got something called the Mindset 2 system. That means that you can effectively adjust the position of the stay on the back of your head so that it's comfortable just by pushing in the plastic tabs on the inside of the helmet. So you know, you can really tailor this for your fit really. And then of course you've got the ratchet dial on the back as well, so you can dial that up to get the right tension of the helmet around your head. I'd like to talk for a second about whether this helmet will keep your head cool. Now, it's a warm day, 23 degrees C, and it's still only mid-morning, and I'm just coming to the top of a 5k climb. So, you know, test conditions, this is probably as good as it gets to test a helmet like this really. So, my head is hot, sure. Sweat is pouring down my face, yes. I think you're going to get that with any helmet, regardless of the design. I can't say right now that my head feels any cooler than with any other type of helmet, but it's not overly sweating, doesn't feel too hot. What is really great though is as soon as I get to a false flat or a slight downhill, it scoops in the air really quickly and it cools my head right down again. So, you know, it does a really good job in that respect. If you're the kind of rider that likes to wear a helmet, I like to, you know, feel that I'm protected when I'm out on the bike as much as I can be, then you want to have a cycle helmet which is at least safe. And I do feel a bit more confident with this helmet because it has the aramid fibre skeleton on the inside. So if I were to have an impact, you know, with a car, with a tree, with the ground, with whatever really, if the helmet were to crack and split, hopefully it would stay wrapped around my head and continue to protect me. So I think that's really important. It's comfortable. Nothing irritates me, you know, when I'm wearing this helmet. You know, there's no rubbing, chafing, etc. And most of the time, actually, you're not really aware that you're wearing a helmet. And it's a silly thing to say, you know, because of course it's there, but you know, you're not focusing on it because it's not pinching or causing you any irritation anywhere, which is important. It's lightweight, which is great, you know, particularly for a lot of us when we're out on the bike. You know, we want to slim down the grams as much as possible, so it's lightweight, and that's a great thing. It keeps your head cool to a degree. You're always going to get hot when you're cycling, you're always going to get hot when you're climbing, but even on a hot day, you know, the helmet was pretty good. And you know, when you do get warm, as soon as you get a bit of air moving through the channels, it will cool you down fairly quickly. Overall, one more thing to add, as I mentioned earlier, make sure that you try the helmet on. Don't be tempted into just buying it online and then hoping for the best. Make sure you go and fit the helmet to your head, get the right size for you. Overall, I'd say I'm happy with the helmet that I've purchased. It's not particularly cheap. I don't want to say there's value for money because it is expensive, and there's certainly less expensive helmets on the market, but you get what you pay for, and I feel in that respect, you know, that I've got a good helmet, certainly one of the best helmets that I've ever owned from, you know, the ones that I've had over the years. So yeah, I think I can recommend this one.